Hello, and welcome to the STEM and Research Podcast. This is part 2 of a two-part series with Claire Morton, where we talk about her story with science. So, till now we discussed more about your research and more into the specifics. Maybe you could just talk about your general STEM experience. So, what would you say has been your coolest STEM experience up till now?
There have been a lot of awesome science experiences that I've had. I really enjoyed. I participated. So Virginia has this sort of, I guess, partnership program with NASA. So I've done two of those programs, Virginia Space Coast Scholars and Virginia Earth System Science Scholars. And if anyone is listening from Virginia and you're a high school student, I highly recommend participating in these programs. Basically what you do is during the school year, you complete an online course that teaches you things about NASA and science. And you write some essays, which is good practice for scientific communication in the future if you're going to do research. But then, if you sort of have a high enough grade in the course during the school year, you're invited to come to NASA. And what happens then is you're put in a team with a bunch of, other students from Virginia, and then your team has to do some sort of project. So it's designing a NASA mission. And I know that this might sound like it's not that cool, but it's really cool because it happens at NASA. So people from NASA will just walk in and be like, oh, you're in Virginia Space Coast Scholars. I happen to be such and such, with NASA, and, can I give you some advice about your mission? And it's sure you can. So it's really fun. And then at the end of the program, it's a week long, and it's free if you go through the course. So money isn't a problem. You don't have to pay a fee to go, which is great. And then you present to a bunch of NASA officials. You present your project, which is really awesome and sort of scary, but mostly awesome. And I really enjoyed my experience with Virginia Earth System Science Scholars in particular, because I was a bit older. And both times I got to lead my group, but Virginia Earth System Science Scholars, there had to be communication among the group leaders because we had to run all of our fake missions on the same fake satellite, which meant there was a lot of argument about the budget. The fake budget for all of our instruments, which was very fun. But I really loved seeing my team members present during our final presentation, because it was we had all come together and designed this complicated mission. We were looking at ocean acidification, if anyone's interested. But so it's we designed this together and we worked together throughout, and it was really awesome just to see all of my team members talk about their parts of the mission and what they've done. So that's probably my favorite science experience so far.
That's extremely cool. Genuinely, that's really cool. So since we're on the point of science involvement in general, I think we could talk about how science fairs can encourage people to get into research. So maybe you could talk about your personal experience with the Virginia State Fair. And maybe later towards the answer, you can touch upon if it was different than ISEF's experience this year.
Well, ISEF this year wasn't a competition.
Yeah, it wasn't a competition, but maybe just the experience you can compare this.
Yeah. So
what were your thoughts on virtual ISEF? I suppose that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I guess so. So I my first year, I really didn't expect to make it to the state fair. So by the time I got there, I was I have just achieved everything that I want to achieve. So in the state fair, I wanted to have fun talking about my science and enjoy talking with my judges. I think science fairs can be really intimidating because you've got all these judges, what did you do? How did you do it? They point to a very specific part on your poster, what is that? And you have to just talk about it. But I think if you approach it more as sort of an exercise in you really loved what you did for a year and you want everyone that's watching you talk about it to see how much you really enjoyed it, I think that makes science fairs like a lot less sort of scary and intimidating. And so that's sort of what I try to do at the state science fair. And I mean, I had a really fun time. I think sometimes it can be sort of hard, you know, I talked to the people on like either side of me, but you sort of want to stand at your poster because you want like judges to not see you away from your poster. But like there are opportunities to communicate with other kids. I was really looking forward to that at ISEF, but it became virtual. But I really wanted, because they have a lot of like activities to connect the kids, and not just like the only time you see your like competitors are when you're all presenting in a big room. So I was looking forward to that, but like it didn't happen. And then this year the state science fair was also virtual, so I didn't get to have that experience, but like I submitted a presentation, which was cool. Like I submitted like a virtual sort of run through of my project. But probably my favorite part about science fairs is when the judges ask you questions and then you're like having more of a conversation rather than you just telling them about your research and hoping that they're not too bored. So, and like I didn't get to do that at the state science fair this year, so that was sort of like sad, but I really enjoyed that experience at the regional science fair. And then virtual ISEF, you know, I was obviously really disappointed. Like I had been, you know, thinking, you know, what if I could go to ISEF for 2 years? And then, you know, I got the chance to go and I was so excited. And then it was made virtual. But I mean, I think that they really did do like the best that they could. Like, I think it was definitely reasonable to not have it as a competition because there are people from like all around the world, and, you know, they couldn't have just some people go in person and other people not get to go. So like, I think it was a good choice in the end to make it more of like a, you know, communication festival rather than like a science competition fair. And like, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I watched the presentations from people. I liked that they made it available to anyone and not like you didn't have to qualify, because I mean, there's no point in doing that. Like it's virtual. It shouldn't be like, you don't need a plane ticket anymore. So you should be able to just sign in. And so I like that they did that. But I mean, it was disappointing. Like, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't disappointing. But yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job overall, I guess.
Yeah, I share the exact same sentiments.
I think it's been hard on everybody. I mean, ISEF is a big thing for some sciencey kids, so definitely hurts. So have your abilities ever been questioned solely because of your age? And if that has ever happened, how have you dealt with it?
I can't actually think of any like specific experiences where this happened. I mean, I don't know why the professors that said no, you know, did they really not have enough space, or were they just like, I can't deal with a high school student who like won't know what she's doing, which probably was a true statement. Like I wouldn't have known what I was doing, and I'm glad that they said no. If, you know, I wouldn't have been able to get the mentorship and I would have felt sort of lost. But that's sort of the only time when it was like potentially questioned. Like I said, my lab is really awesome. Everyone in there I felt more like I was supported because they knew that I didn't know as much, you know, about the really advanced biology that like, you know, like how to design primers and things for procedures. Like I was sort of taught how to do that because I'd never had to do that in my high school. So I don't think really questioned my abilities because of my age so much as like supported my, you know, my discoveries because I was so young and didn't really know what I was doing. And so my lab's been great at that. And then, you know, the summer programs that I did were like designed for high school students. So I don't feel like I was really questioned there either. So I'm going to say no.
Sure. So you talked about how your school may have helped you out with your research, but do you think the curriculum of your school had any overlap with any of the research that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably AP biology and like AP computer science had the most like impact on me, just because, you know, in my English classes actually there one more AP, I took AP seminar, which is a course where you like put together a lot of papers, and like you have to do a lot of writing, and that I think really helped me with my communication, even though it wasn't always like I didn't always do my papers like about science. I wrote about economics quite a bit in that class actually. But yeah, so I think those, and then I mean AP biology was sort of my inspiration to like want to do more with biology because I got really excited about it. But I mean, I'd only sort of read about, I mean, I feel like I've said PCR like several times here, but I'd only read about, for example, PCR in my textbook. And then like the first time I got to do that in the lab, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm following the steps in this diagram. Like I've done it now, which was really awesome. But yeah, so, and then I think AP computer science was also useful. I mean, now, like, it's not that hard to learn the material from probably any of these classes, just like through the internet, but having like instruction in even just sort of how to think about code, you know, like you learn Java for AP computer science, but, you know, I did a lot of my coding in R, so it was like sort of different, but very similar. And so I think that was really useful to like learn sort of in a classroom about like how to code things and how to solve problems with code. And I mean, I think my school is like a public school, and it's like pretty large, but it offers a lot of like the AP courses, but it also offers like more vocational courses. So like I took some courses just like in engineering, but it was mainly drafting. But I did take one course called Principles of Engineering that was sort of about like problem solving. And, you know, my research wasn't engineering research, but that kind of mindset that I acquired in Principles of Engineering, like, okay, you know, this isn't working, you know, I'll just fix it. Like, I'll just try again. I think is really useful in a lab when like your cells die or something like that. You know, that perseverance that came from that engineering class was definitely useful.
Right. So we're talking about learning science here. I'm curious about one thing, or like I'm curious about about one thing, is that do you think you need to know a lot of the science behind something to make actual useful contributions, no matter how small your contributions are?
That's a good question. I think it sort of depends on like what field you're in. Because I think you can know a lot about like a certain problem, say, and you don't have to know, you know, about every problem that an engineer has ever solved in order to like solve a problem that matters to you. And especially if you're doing work that's like not in a lab, you know, probably you know more about whatever you're researching than anyone around you. So like that's certainly enough. And I think like, yeah, a lot can be learned through the internet. I definitely enjoyed having like sort of an introductory college level biology class in AP biology before I went into a biology lab, because, you know, I, even after having had that course, I still like hadn't learned about a lot of the things that the lab does. So I think some level of background knowledge in that field, and probably also something like chemistry, is probably necessary. But it's also definitely possible to just like go in thinking, I really want to learn about, you know, how we detect diseases in genomes or something, and then get someone's genome data and try and see if they're going to get this disease or not. And then you can just learn a whole lot about that, and like you don't have to know about mitosis if all you're doing is like DNA thing. Well, you probably do, but that was sort of a bad example. But like I think it's possible to do either. But I think in fields like biology and probably chemistry, it's often useful to have some sort of background knowledge. But that shouldn't like deter any students from pursuing research in something they're interested in. Like you can always learn it. Like the information is always available somewhere. So yeah, definitely like if you're interested in biology and you've never had an advanced biology class, like just jump into it, you know, go on Khan Academy and just start learning things. But yeah.
So, like about the learning process, I think the lab can particularly be helpful because well, you can have mentors there. So I know you've mentioned this several times already, but you had a great experience at your lab at Virginia Tech. So maybe you could just briefly talk about the experience and the bonds that you formed there.
Yeah, so I think, like, I mean, I sort of knew like who I was gonna be like mentored by, I guess, when I came into the lab the first time, because like they had said, okay, she was in this meeting, like I'll take her, it's fine. And I think like one of the reasons why, well, I don't think, I know that one of the reasons why I chose to stay in that same lab was because, I mean, I loved the science they were doing, like I love biology, but it was also because the community in the lab is really supportive. So like the other day I was on a Zoom meeting with someone and they were like, if you want to do this experiment in the wet lab, like we can, I can show you how to design it, and then, I can do it for you, and like you'll know what I've done, and then, you're not allowed in the lab, but like that shouldn't stop you, I can do it for you, and you can design it beforehand and I'll just do it. And like, the person that volunteered to do this like isn't my mentor, but he's just awesome. And like I think that environment is really great thing to be a part of, because everyone is so supportive. Like I think a lot of labs get sort of competitive with like, everyone wants to, publish a paper or like use a piece of equipment, or like they don't want to share their data with each other or something. And my lab is definitely really supportive. So like I chose to stay because of that. And it definitely made my research experience like much richer, I guess, in high school, because I knew that I had people, if I had a problem with my code or something, I could go ask someone, if I wasn't sure like how to, where to put this plate with yeast on it, I could go ask someone. So it was definitely great to have that supportive environment. Yeah.
So till now, we talked about your STEM activities and your involvement with STEM in general. Mm-hmm. But I also know that you were part of your school's track team. So could you just talk about balancing STEM with other activities?
Yeah, so so I throw discus and shot put for my school's track team, and I did that all 4 years, indoor and outdoor track, which meant practice for like at least an hour and a half, at least 4 days a week, right after school, which was sort of a lot to, I guess, balance. But it became, it was sort of, I guess, hardest to balance my senior year, because I was doing a project that had a lot more steps. Like, I mean, I think I taught like all the computational steps. There were like several experimental steps that I knew that I wanted to do and like had to get through. And it became sort of stressful. But then I realized that, track was really sort of like a release of my problems. When you throw something, it's really nice if you're stressed. You've got tests to study for or something. You can just sort of violently throw your shot put or discus, and it's great. So I guess sort of like reframing the track team as something that like I enjoyed rather than like an obligation was great to sort of manage my time a bit better. And I sort of recognized track as like a break in my day rather than like something, super like difficult, or like I can't manage this, I have to quit the team. So I started viewing it as like at school, during the day, like I'd exercise my brain, and then like for an hour, I'd exercise physically, and then I'd go to the lab and exercise mentally some more. So thinking about it like that was definitely a way to balance. But I also think like there's sort of a lot of pressure on kids to develop like, I don't know, like a spike for college admissions. Like I've heard that term a lot, and I certainly didn't have a spike. I mean, like I did a lot of science things, but like I did a lot of other things too. And like I think that that's totally fine. I mean, like you're a person, you don't have to just be focused on one thing. And I think that definitely helped me. Like the track team sort of helped me manage high school, because I think otherwise it would have been like really overwhelming. But knowing that like I'd be able to hang out with school after school with like totally different people from the people that I interacted with all day, we didn't have to talk about like homework or essays or anything like that. And we could just throw things and lift things, and it It was really fun. And I really liked track meets because they're kind of like science fairs, but also nothing like science fairs in that, there's a whole lot of people from all around who are all interested in this one thing that's happening at the event. And I always found it fun to like talk to throwers from like different areas in Virginia and like make friends and stuff. They're on other teams, like we're competing, but that doesn't mean you can't be nice to them. And I think like that's sort of the mindset that I did in science fairs as well. Like I would talk to the people on either side, which meant they're in my category, which meant they're competing with me, but like it was fine because we're all just interested in science and we're just interested in talking about it, or we're all just really interested in the shot put and we all want to throw it. But yeah, that was sort of track and balance. Sorry if I got a little off topic there, but yeah.
No, not at all. So, besides research, how have you stayed occupied during the pandemic itself?
So I've like mainly been doing research. I'm working like 40 hours a week on it, which is like a full-time job. And I've enjoyed it. Like it's good. But I've tried to focus on like connecting with my friends. I know like, we're all sort of apart. We're like in our houses, or if we get together, it's like socially distant, but like I have Zoom game nights with my friends twice a week, which has been really fun. And like we'll get together and walk somewhere or something and stay socially distant, so we're like outside. So there's like less risk. But I think like connecting with friends is really important, anyway, if you're all going off to college and you want to like maintain those friendships. And so that's what I've sort of been focusing on. So it's been like lab work and then sort of just talking to people and like hanging out, which has been a nice break, I guess, like going into college thinking, I'll still have these friendships, whatever year of college I'm in has been nice.
Right. So, this has been a pretty great conversation. Do you have any final advice or any final takeaways for young people just getting started with their research, or just any message you want to get out to deliver to our viewers?
I think I would just say like persevere and like don't give up. I don't know if that's too cliche of a message, but that definitely got me like into my lab and through my projects when things were tough in the lab, things weren't working, just keep going and see what you can do, because if you're cheering for yourself and you're confident in your abilities, you can achieve anything you want to.
That's really true. I mean, everybody says it, but it's really valuable still.
It is, yeah.
So thanks, Claire, for joining us today, and for
thank you.
Our audience for tuning in.
We hope to see you in our future episodes, and Claire, good luck for all your future adventures.